Well, hello everyone. I have a few minutes. It's a working Wednesday, if you can't tell. It definitely looks like a shop and a lot of inventing going on. Well, we're inventing the NFL algorithm for the 2022 season. And starting with preseason, which starts tomorrow, being Thursday, August 4th, there's a game. And what the point of this video is to discuss this game because there were lines announced for this week, the first like 8 days of preseason, almost you have to call it, because they call it preseason week 0 and week 1. All right, there's basically 2 weeks of games, but there's only one game here, essentially in preseason week 1, which is Thursday night. So we're going to discuss that game in depth. And if you subscribe and purchase copies of this algorithm, you get the preseason for only $25. And if you want a full season, it's 150, which I'm supposed to raise to 200 because it's now August. So get it before I raise it to 200 because I probably will do that. So you'll be able to use this and dig through it and really use it to its potential. It's the most predictive sports model ever created. That's what I always say. And I'm waiting to get sued because I could prove it in court. Nobody beats this thing long term. Nobody beats any of the algorithms I do long term, except they beat themselves. They just keep getting better. So let's talk about why that is. So there's a Raiders and Jacksonville game going on tomorrow. It's in Jacksonville, probably. I don't know. Sometimes they play these games in Europe. I have no idea what this game is. Let's assume that it's in Las Vegas because that's what this says, that it's in Las Vegas. It says the Raiders win 36-28. Well, that's a ton of points. The odds makers are saying there's only going to be 34 points in this game. So the algorithm is doing something way out of the ordinary, essentially, and saying that there's going to be a ton of points scored in this game based on last year's stats. Let's find out if that's accurate. So what I suspect is going on, sorry, I just ate a granola bar. I just had to get this done. I'm on break, taking a lunch. I'm working hard here. What you need to do is you need to look and say, do we have something like too many kickers on a team? I actually think that might be an issue. I think the kickers are going to distort scoring because if you're trying to have a bunch of kickers compete for spots, it's going to add up their points in an incorrect way. So what I'm going to do is you actually have a list of all the teams and all the players when you start opening stuff up, and you have this by position. And so what I was thinking we could do here is we could look at just the kickers to make sure that our kicker situation is acceptable, not only for this game on Thursday night, but also for the rest of the games and how we want to approach this early on. So I'm clicking kicker here in this position slicer. And I can already see that, yes, there's definitely going to be problems. We're going to open up and expand entire field. Don't worry about free agents for now. But here we've got two big kickers. Two big kickers, two fairly big kickers. That is doubling their kicking potential, basically. You want one kicker. See? One kicker. So two kickers is trouble, which means that anywhere there's two significant kickers, here it's not significant because Cedric Wilson doesn't have any real stats. But the ones up top and anywhere there are two, which looks like Jacksonville, which has two here, Santoso and Matt Wright, Washington, the Commanders now, Patriots, Lions, and Jets. So what this is saying is that we need to do something about this. Now, we could just cut their scores in half, but I don't like that. Instead, we're going to go with the better kicker. All right, that's enough for me, which means for Jacksonville's game, we're going to get rid of Ryan Santoso. And the ways to do that, I guess we'll do it this way. We'll go to Santoso here in the kicker sheet because we know we're going to be doing this for right now. And we'll update this later, but we're going to, what are we going to do with him? He was traded a couple times last year. We're just going to delete him. Sorry, Ryan. No, we're not going to do that. What am I going to do? I'm going to call him a free agent. All right. Just because I'm getting him off of Jacksonville. Now, what that's going to do when we refresh here is he should be gone. He's not. Oh, because I'm sorry. Here, that's a great lesson. Doing something here does not help. Don't do it right here. You have to do it in the all player sheet. So we have to go to Ryan Santoso. This is the place where all the players like areas are kept. Ryan Santoso, instead of being on Jacksonville, we're going to call him a free agent. And assuming, okay, we also need to do something else. Okay, so every time somebody gets traded, the best way to keep track of it is looking at RotoWire's projections. Okay, RotoWire has these projections. We just grabbed them and I pasted them here. So what we need to do is we need to reinsert every person's new team by writing this formula that you can slow down and watch the VLOOKUP I wrote if you care. But you're going to paste this all the way down. Yep. And then what happens is the reason why there's a bunch of errors, what I want to talk about is you really need to do it like this. So you go one over, and everywhere there's an error, if there's an error, you leave the team that they used to be on as the team. Okay. So what this does is you'll see there won't be any errors this way. Everyone has a team, and that is how you paste it over. This is really quick, but this is basically how you keep updating the correct teams for each player, is by doing what I just did every time you paste the new projections from RotoWire. Now let's go back to Santoso for a second, because now I can solve this problem. Santoso is there. Instead of Jacksonville, we're going to make him a free agent. And I know I'm just making that up, but I'm doing it for a reason, because now watch what happens. Now he's going to disappear. Now he's gone. And now when we look at everybody else and all the different players that we have, we can keep bringing a cornerback there too. Interesting. Now when we do this, all of a sudden we go back and we reproject, our scores are going to drop. Yep, it's now 36-26. Actually didn't drop very, very much. That's kind of funny. I thought it would drop more, but it didn't. So the point of all that is the projection pivot is the source of all your information, and the all player sheet is the source of what team they are on for right now, which is a very interesting problem this early in preseason, because people are going to be moving all around to different teams. So this is more of a technical understanding of how do you alter this, adjust it, and dig through it, because you're going to need to do it for fantasy. Getting players on the correct teams is obviously imperative for fantasy, which I know a lot of people do as well. So, so the point of all that is you'll start to see that a lot of these NFL videos will really be tutorials and breakdowns of specific things you can do with it, and not necessarily me being like, hey, you need to bet a bunch of money on the over, even though that's what it says. Is that right? Let's go back and look again and really answer that question. Let's just look at the two teams that we care about, being Jacksonville and Vegas. So you've got Las Vegas and Jacksonville. Both of these teams here, when we open them up and look at them essentially by position, like if you want to do a depth chart comparison, for example, you can be like, all right, let's look at their kickers. Now we have a better kicker for Vegas, but at least we only have 1-versus-1 kicker. What about quarterbacks? We've got Trevor Lawrence apparently on Jacksonville going up against Nick Mullins. Both of them pretty low rated. And then Derek Carr's got no rating. Why? Why does Derek Carr have no rating? Why? Well, that's weird. Hold on, let's find out the answer to that. I feel like Derek Carr should be a player with a rating. What's going on? Well, let's look. As we go to the passing sheet and we look for Derek Carr, because I haven't dug through all this yet. I mean, obviously he's got a rating. So what's going on here? This is a real number. So what's happening? Well, let's look. I think we have an error. I think we have a problem. Let's see. Injury status, no. Don't know what's happening, right? He's here, but he's got no QB rating. Is that really what's happening? I don't quite understand. Let's look for him here. He's listed as a QB for Las Vegas with a 13% score, yet nothing is coming up. There's two of them. Oh, interesting. That's so funny. Okay, let me tell you what really complicated thing is happening here. So notice that Derek Carr's name appears on here twice. And it appears on here twice because he's listed in two different sections of the algorithm. He is listed in the passing section, which is giving him a 13% rating. And he's listed in the rushing section, which is giving him a negative 10% rating. And what that means is, when we break it out, we'll kind of assess whether or not that's acceptable. It's kind of interesting. So it's saying that Derek Carr does have a positive influence as a passer when he is a QB. However, when he is rushing, when you compare his rushing stats to everyone else's rushing stats, he has such a negative impact on the overall individual score of his rushing ability because he's in 14 games, he had 108 yards, 2.7 yards. What's bringing this down? Lost 3. What is the loss? 3 lost fumbles. And TOT is 11. So what the algorithm is saying, wow, we just learned that out of nowhere. The algorithm says that Derek Carr's running of the ball and turnover problems are so destructive that they almost nullify his otherwise positive passing impact. And it creates a weird, I mean, what is this number? This number is 0.03 because it's 13% minus 10%. So it's 3%, which is 0.03 actually. If we open this up, we get a true out of 100% number, which why not? We should actually do that. We'll go to the field list real quick, and we will change this number format to have an additional decimal so that we can be truly accurate and understand what happened there. Because I actually initially looked because I thought Derek Carr was at 0. Remember? I thought he was at 0 because I thought he was at 0. He's not actually at 0. He's at 3%. And that's because of his turnovers. Wow. I hope that expresses how unbelievably in-depth and incredible the algorithm is when it comes to doing analysis. Because there's nothing about me that knew how to calculate Derek Carr's contribution as a rusher. There's the algorithm's years of reverse engineering formulas to get things the most accurate as possible when it comes to point projections that have resulted in a C-score distribution like this based on these things. And yeah, the minus the TOT fumbles, whatever, the loss aren't even being included, but the TOT number is. What is this TOT? Turnovers on something? Whatever that is, it's enormous for Derek Carr. Amazing. So anyway, all right, that was the aside. The final kind of culmination of what this video is supposed to be, right, is, well, you've got a whole week 1 with lines now. Sorry, not just week 1 of the regular season, but preseason week 1. It's really these two things you're looking at. See the Raiders play twice. Well, is there anything of interest? And, you should buy a copy so you can dig in and make sure this is correct. Well, the lines are not great anywhere. I shouldn't say they're not great. They're actually kind of even money-ish. That's nice. Like the odds are in a way very easy to play a lot together, kind of get paid because nothing's super crazy and there aren't like minus 400s everywhere. What just happened? Yeah, I don't want to change that part of the 15. Yeah, so what you've got is an interesting look because as we sort this by projected margin of victory and only look at week 1, because it already said take the over in the Raiders Jacksonville game. It still says it's going to go over 34 points or whatever that craziness is. But the other games here, of course, it thinks Detroit beats Atlanta at even money by a ton. All of our point projections are way out of whack here. They're really high up. But so it makes me want to kind of lower the magnifier a little bit. That's the other thing I'll talk about. Is there's a magnifier here that The best way to explain what this magnifier is the magnifier is trying to determine the number of scoring drives in the game, sort of. And it but now, well, like, how can that be the same for every game? You would say, well, it actually knows how many points the team will score per regular drive in the game. It's interesting. So what this does is it's like, uh, if preseason is a slower moving game without a lot of timeouts and stuff like that, this magnifier should be lower. Actually, should. Whoa. What happened there? What just happened? I don't know what I did. That means I need to do more work on the file. That's not everything's not supposed to just disappear. Um, I don't know. Anyway, point is if you'd like to subscribe, you can see there's a lot of work still being done on this, and but it's super helpful and it's awesome and whatever. So we got started. If you do one thing on this Thursday game, the algorithm says bet over 34 points. Says that's what happens. And it's such a huge disparity that how can you not, right? And of course, the final score of this game will obviously be 20-13, but maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll go over. I don't know. Good luck, everyone. May all your picks be winning. We'll be back. I'll be sending some preview breakdown videos to people who subscribe and before I release them to everybody else. So if you want to get on the subscription list, you'll get an email from me every week with this file, and you'll get access to the unlisted video before it goes out to everybody else. And we'll have a good time with this because I certainly am pumped up to spend some time perfecting this as we go into the season. This file changes its structure as we start the season because we start using current season stats instead of last season stats, last year's schedule, last year's home and away, last year's everything is really what you're looking at now, except for this year's injuries, which are currently in there if they are correct. So good luck, everyone. May all your picks be winning. May there be some points in this football game tomorrow night. If that game's in Vegas, I could actually go to that game. Does anybody go to preseason games? I could do that. I could potentially be playing hockey on Friday in Las Vegas, so there'd be a reason to go there. I'll let you know if I go to this game. And if I do, of course, I'll do a video from Allegiant Stadium. All right. Good luck. May all your picks be winning. Have a good working Wednesday.